Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of The Aftermath. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Dylan.
Happy 4th of July!
Happy 4th of July! Well,
Blow shit up.
I came into your room a little while ago.
And you blew my shit up.
Well, respectfully, I was on a Discord call with a friend of the show, buddy of yours, a long time, Dakota. And
my brother.
Right, yeah. We're sitting here hanging out, and I hear like a boom, boom, boom. And I was like, I thought someone was knocking on my door in my little area right here.
Right.
So I was like, come in.
Who the fuck?
Yeah, and then no one came in, and I was like,
Right.
Dakota, give me 1 second.
Hello?
And so I muted my microphone, walked away, and I was like, hey, did you just knock on the door? And you're like, I don't think I heard anything.
What?
And then as we were playing the game more, I was like, I heard more like boom, 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 boom. And I was like, it's fireworks. People are blowing shit up outside, and I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, people are a little bit early
It's
for this.
that time of year.
Who'd have thought the Thursday night? People would be
They always are.
I know. It's the night before, but
Right. Always a few folks who can't quite keep the cork on it.
No, of course not.
Right.
But I thought it was interesting. I was like, of course, the 4th of July is on a Friday this year. I was like,
Right.
come on.
Of all days.
Everybody gets off. Well,
That's
I think
prime time.
most people get off of work.
Mhm.
Anyways, so.
Even if they do.
I know. So, but anyways, like he said, happy 4th of July, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We are starting. Oh man, I believe if I'm not mistaken, this show was recommended to us by our main man, Toasty Knight. I think at one point in time. I could be wrong. I know that you talked about this as well.
I'd mentioned it before.
Either I'm not sure who was first. Doesn't matter. But I know between. I'm almost certain
It was me.
Okay, well we'll give it to Dylan.
Right.
But regardless, it was this show has been or miniseries, whatever you want to consider it, has been spoken of.
Oh yes,
and has been spoken of in a respectful, but are you ready kind of tone.
Yeah.
For just and
Right.
and now that we've watched, this is another multi-parter series.
Right.
We're gonna
Out of how many of these have we done?
A few.
The first one I remember is Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell was one of them.
Right.
We also did Unicorn. Funny enough, we did.
Oh, yeah.
We did all of Unicorn. We've done.
Woof.
We've done what we could of Bleach right now.
Mhm.
The show I don't think is finished,
Right.
but we will pick that torch back up when it is.
How many episodes were we
Blaze.
doing for that one? Like per episode?
I don't remember.
It was a.
I think it was a disc. Whatever a. Cause I think I want to say you. I want to say you had like four discs or
right,
something
in total.
Yeah, and so I think we were. I think
Somehow we managed to fit all that shit in
Yeah.
one episode.
Well, but the thing is, I don't think we did a bad job because I don't think it was a lot of
Yeah.
episodes.
We hit all the major highlights.
Yeah, I think there
all
was
our
a
favorite parts.
There was a few moments where I had to look at the list.
Mhm.
I want to say we've also done it for Tylor.
Yes.
I think this year, probably the end of last year and this year, has been like we've hit a new stride on like tackling shows. Gurren Lagann, can't forget Gurren
Oh,
Lagann.
no, of course not.
I think we've hit a new stride with
Pinnacle.
like touching on series and being okay with it being a multi-part thing.
It's the one thing I've been worried about as far as because I have a lot of fucking like shows.
Oh yeah,
I've got a lot of short stuff, which
a lot of
usually-
good shows, by
right,
the way.
right, stuff you wouldn't want to miss. But I've got a fair amount of like short little mini series stuff
Yeah.
that I'm not too worried about. When it's like a full length like TV series, that's when I'm a little on the fence. Like, are people gonna even enjoy this kind of format as far as like breaking down and talking about a show goes?
Right.
Because I mean, I don't know. Compared to like a movie, it's just like one and done. You get all the major
right,
beats,
yeah.
talk about what we liked about it, and that's it.
Yeah, I think it's easier to condense down 2 to 2.5 hours into an hour-long podcast,
Right.
and feel like you gave it justice.
Mhm.
But one thing I've seen from the numbers that people do like these series because again we're also touching on like some really great shows. But the one that got me was the comments that like we did Gurren Lagann justice, and I was like, oh, that feels
That
good.
means a lot.
That means a lot because man, that's a good show.
Right. It's hard
Yeah.
to really just nail home how much that shit sticks with you.
And not to segue too obviously, but
Right,
this
right.
show I think is doing a great job of making you feel something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Dylan said there's 13 episodes.
Yes.
I think we're going to probably do this into 3 parts.
Mm-hmm.
do a 4, and probably a 5,
Right.
or depending on how things, hang out, how that pans out. But that's the goal so far. So for this episode today, it's the first 4 episodes of
Violet Evergarden.
Oh man, I remember hearing that name, and people. I remember it being compared, like, paired with the phrase, "Oh, you think that's good? Just wait till you watch Violet Evergarden." That was the phrase. It was like in regards to like emotional or like heaviness,
right?
And so
I'd say that's fair,
right? And so that's so I'm excited to watch this show. I think you gave me 2 different options, and I was like, I really want to watch Violet Evergarden. So that's what we did.
I'd gotten a few more series in the mail whenever I get the opportunity.
Oh yeah,
one of which was Casher and Sins.
I don't think I know what that is.
It's a little throwback series that I used to watch on Toonami. Stop me if you heard that one before. But I went ahead and snagged it for the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So now it's in the collection and awaiting.
And boy, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was trying to quickly see if I can't go to the YouTube stuff and see if I can't highlight the word Violet Evergarden to see if it where it shows up, because I know it's in here somewhere.
Right, I'm sure.
I just want to see if I can't quickly find it.
Just in case you may have nudged it in the description there.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been more than like a wayward like mention, but
potentially.
Yeah.
I don't think I can easily find it, but that's okay.
Probably not.
So, anyways, yeah. I have.
Get your first impressions.
I loved. I really, really did. I have fallen in love with just these first 4 episodes. It has been such a. I can't even properly articulate the words.
Damn.
Right now, because we just finished watching them right now.
Yeah.
And it. I guess we should start off at the top, just so I could because I think that's what's going to help me. I think put my feelings into words, because that's what the whole show's about.
Right.
As of right now, the whole show is about putting feelings into words,
figuring out how to feel.
Yes, I love that. This show does so many things so beautifully. I am a musician, and if there's one thing that I have absolutely fallen in love with is the music for this show. It is so beautiful. It's so beautiful, especially for like the setting, which is like it's, I don't want to say steampunk, but like
sort of like a post World War I type era.
It's like early 1900s, late 1800s kind of vibe. Got those old cars. You got that that like it feels like it's also like, in either in like Europe somewhere or like in anyway. It's just, like
the
it has
conventions are similar to Germany.
Yeah, and it's like it just has this like, but there is like technology apparently in some way,
slightly more advanced in some ways.
Yeah, but not like to like a weird like a, I would say, cringy way, or like or like a tropey way,
like out of place.
Yeah. Or like, because again, sometimes I feel like steampunk is a cool concept, but then like sometimes it can go a little too far,
right?
And it's like
you get the super stylized flavor of steampunk.
Yeah, and then it's like it loses its like roots in the Victorian like old timey era, and it's like
Industrial Revolution type shit.
Too fantastical.
Right.
And like the suspension of disbelief is a little bit harder, is what I'm saying. Whereas this feels like far on the other spectrum of like, it may push the boundary as far as like what technology they have and like what's going on.
But it still remains grounded.
Yes. And it feels very appropriate. And I love that. And the music does such a great job of tying it all together. The animation is so gorgeous. I mean, it was the first thing I asked.
A
I was
feast
like,
for the eyes.
I was like, I asked you, I was like, this has to be like a modern thing because it looks so good.
Mm-hmm.
The first shots we get are of this like man and this young woman in like a market, and like both of the characters are stunning. They're just like, I know we have made jokes in the past about Hathaway,
right,
and about animation being pretty,
right,
and or like having like a female character that is gorgeous, and like even though it's an anime, but there's like aspects of like the character that you're like, oh my gosh, like this, even though it's an animated character, like there's like you can. For me at least, I can appreciate there's like, wow, it's just so the animation does such a great job of capturing like the beauty of this person in a way.
Yeah,
and I mean, like we're right off the bat. There's like Violet again looks at the major with these like big old blue eyes and just this like expression of like, love me is what it feels like, of just like this like you get one good look at the character and I was like, oh my god, you're just, the animation's so beautiful that you're like, wow, this is so
she's part of
right. But it's breathtaking.
Yeah.
And again, you cut back over to like our main man, and he has a very interesting shade of like green eyes, and he's
almost emerald.
And it's also like a beautiful scene where like you can tell like he's like, there's like a potentially a power dynamic as far as like roles are concerned, but like oh my gosh, dude. Yeah. Doing acting, there's I think I've talked about this on the show before, but there's something called subtext, which is like, what are you saying without saying words? Like, what is your like facial expressions? What is your body language expressing? How is that acting instead of you saying something? Again, are people nowadays like to say, like show don't tell kind of stuff. Right. That's like what subtext is. And so like it's that kind of stuff where like you can see just from like the little bits of facial expressions or the kind of the hesitations and stuff, you're like, oh, okay,
right,
there's a little something happening here. And then we cut to like a hospital scene,
right,
and she is like, I mean, she's banged up, and you're like, all right, yeah. And again, so we get the
cuts, scratches.
We get the idea that she is
fully
like
bandaged arms.
Yeah, we get the idea that, of course, from the very beginning, seen that they're like military people in some capacity. Right. So this isn't. So the fact that like she's all banged up, like it's like, okay, your mind is able to connect the fact that like, okay, she's probably in some sort of
soldier
or some sort of battle that has left her, incapacitated, infirmed. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But so that is the setting of the beginning. It's like, I mean, it's heavy, it's fast, because again, you get this beautiful moment between these two characters, and this lovely moment where like you can tell this girl who's probably a little bit socially awkward in some way is like noticing this brooch that has this beautiful emerald like is around the same shade as his eyes, and she makes like a comment about it, and like you can tell that like he's kind of a bit like, I think
most unsettled,
but I think it's also like it's not like he's, it's not like it was offensive. Like, I think he kind of was like, whoa, why'd you say it like that? Like almost as if he kind of likes it, I think, which is, so again, like I said, it's these like little things that they're like not saying, but saying. It's like, okay, so I mean, he may be uncomfortable by it, but I don't think he is not uncomfortable by the fact that she notices him in some way.
We'll get there.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's all I'm saying. Is like, again, we're not. That's what again. Few scenes you see that, and you're like, okay, there's probably a power dynamic. It's probably awkward. The fact that this beautiful girl is also complimenting your eyes and focusing on this gym. It's like, oh wow, like, so it's like, I could put myself in that scenario and go like, okay, I don't not like hearing that compliment. It's nice. I also really care about you because of reasons that we'll get to later. Right. But it's also it's like that kind of stuff. So anyways, this is a long-winded way of just like saying like just the first few scenes, just the animation, the music, the style of it all. It's so cool. And so far, again, as we touched on, this is going to be, or at least the first few episodes are about how to feel feelings.
Right.
And man, there's some great. There was probably 2 moments in particular that like I think really got me kind of teary eyed a little bit.
Yeah.
But so
shit's gonna get you one way or another.
Oh, I know. I don't doubt it.
Right.
Because it's a lovely premise, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
Mm-hmm.
You told me that this is the same people that animated A Silent Voice.
Yes.
Or the people that animated this, and I was like, oh, that makes sense because that was also very beautiful,
right?
Very lovely, and very sad. That was an OVA, right?
That was a movie.
Or was it a movie? Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah. But when did you, I guess, first see this? If that was
watched this a few months ago.
Really?
Yeah, sometime last year, I'm sure.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly when, but shortly after I had finished it is when I mentioned it on the podcast.
Yeah.
So, whichever one we are able to end up finding that little mention on, you could guess relatively the time I had finished it.
Okay. I couldn't find it, but I could have swore it was discussed whenever I brought up A Silent Voice. I think at some point, I thought someone in the comments had said like, "We'll just wait until you watch."
Yeah.
Violet Evergarden. At least that's what I thought. So,
maybe even have made a succinct like mention after Grave of the Fireflies had been talked about.
That may have been it too.
Yeah, because man,
okay,
still not ready for that one.
you watched that one?
Yes, it's been a fucking while.
Okay,
but man, it is.
But it's also a heavy one.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Just so that way the people at home know, like Dylan would do one of those very tight, very succinct nods, like,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was gonna be a while.
Oh yeah.
Before I work up the nerve.
I feel that way about some shows as well.
Oh yeah.
So far, I love just how much they've given us.
Mm-hmm.
That first episode was like a long pilot, but I think it was very good.
Mm-hmm.
It answers some questions.
Or it gives you all the crumbs.
But it poses a lot more questions, and it's really, and I love it because like I said, it gave me just enough. I'm like, okay, I think I roughly know what's going on, but I don't really
and they hit
know.
You with the 6 different hooks.
Yeah.
And then you're in.
But it's again, I get just enough questions to like keep me wanting more, and I'm nervous for where this is gonna go.
You better be,
because okay, so I guess we'll pick up where I kind of left off. She's in the bed, and of course, this was the lieutenant colonel.
Yes,
yeah, lieutenant.
Was.
Was this lieutenant colonel comes in here into like the infirmary, and of course, our main character Violet is like immediately asking for the major and like what's her next orders, and it's like you can tell she's like. I don't say brainwashed, but like that's what it feels like. She's conditioned.
Very concerned.
Yes. Very concerned, but also very ready to like get back to her job.
Duties.
Her duties, yeah. And so, and our lieutenant colonel is not, she says a few comments that are very appropriate, where she's like, his injuries were grievous. Like, please tell me like he is okay.
Right.
Like,
is he alive?
Is he alive? And he, oh gosh, he strategically never says that he's dead, but his body language says everything that needs to be said that she's not picking up on.
Right.
That he's not going to be here to help.
He sent me to come get you.
Yes. And so there's a lot of that, like,
beating around the bush.
Yeah.
Hesitation.
Every time she comes with a direct question about something, there's this moment where he's like, ugh. And you could feel him hit a brick wall. You
see it on his face.
Yeah. Or in his hands. There's so many beautiful moments where they really zoom into the hands for a lot of things that just like.
Either he tenses up or he puts them in his pockets.
Yeah. Just these little things. And it's so it's so great at conveying that feeling that I think we've all felt.
Right.
I never thought about what my hands do when I get nervous and I'm having to probably like skirt the truth, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does. Like you hide your hands in your pocket, you put them behind you,
right. Some kind of tell.
Yeah, you mull them around, or it's
right.
like, it's that kind of stuff. That's like I don't know. It feels natural and it feels very good.
Now, because of these
yes
little bits and pieces, we are obviously left to assume that the man is dead.
Yes,
it's never outright said because, of course,
right.
In these circumstances, Violet is always like present.
Yes.
And of course, he doesn't want to just drop that on her after she just finished recovering from the
and she's not, I wouldn't say she's even fully recovered yet. I think she's still,
no, definitely not.
She's still working it up. So,
yeah.
But she has bandages all the way down her hands.
Right.
So it almost feels like, for me, I thought she got like severely burned or something. Was like what I thought.
Right.
Because again, she's got cuts on her face with bandages. She's got like, all that kind of stuff. But like her arms, like I thought that like, okay, something may have happened where she like severely burned or scarred her hands or whatever.
Something bad.
Because obviously, I mean, why else would you bandage your hands?
Right.
We will find out. We will find out and not know the full story. I may add.
Right.
Anyway, so the lieutenant colonel ends up getting her out of there. And we learn that the war is over.
Right.
And that her job is going to be something different. And the major wants you to come and stay at this home.
Right. To live happily.
Yeah, exactly. And she is like not quite having it. She's like, if you're just going to is my job now done and just going to throw me aside? And it's this really tense moment.
Right.
And so he then
because that's how she views herself.
Of course. And
for
again,
reasons that are expounded upon later.
And we get like a little bit more context through some flashbacks. I'm not sure how many we've had up until this point, but
at least like 3,
probably
4.
But like, but we get enough flashbacks that we kind of are understanding that like she was brought into the military at a very young age and was like kind of brainwashed into like being
That's all she knows
tool.
How to be a soldier.
Yes. And so you can tell like from the very beginning that like that is going to be like the hinge upon which this show works.
Right.
Is that we have this young woman that like it is now former military working in civilian life and like having a hard time adapting.
Right.
Or just acting like a normal person because I don't think she ever has been a normal person.
No.
So it's like this is all new ground. And you're like, okay, I'm picking up what this show's. I'm picking up what this show's putting down. but that grows into so much more. And it's so interesting. She doesn't want to stay at that house.
Right. The Evergarden estate.
Yes. And so the lieutenant colonel's like, I now am no longer in the military, actually, because now the war's over.
Right.
I own a business where we like do like mailing and like lettering and like all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Just come work for me. And so she's like, all right. And of course, and she is an effective tool in the military. So now that she's like putting that mindset into just like regular work, she's like an effective person in the mail room, just like doing
non-stop
stuff. And of course,
doesn't take breaks.
No, her coworkers are like, "What are you?" And she's like, "I'm just accustomed to long hours. It's but it is what it is." And you're like, "Okay." It's like, okay, we're painting a picture again. We're like, this girl is like, she's a machine. Wink, wink.
Right.
Robo. Yeah. There's a moment when, and for the first time, I thought that it was just one hand because I think we were only really focusing on her right hand for a little while. But like, she ends up removing the gauze from her hand, and she has like a robotic prosthetic hand, and it's all metal, and it looks kind of futuristic and cool.
Really cool.
Really cool. And dude, one of the comments that really got me, that really hit hard, is you can tell that there is an emotional barrier with Violet and the Major, where like I think up until this point, not everything is spoken about, but like she has feelings for the Major because I think he also reciprocated something and has felt a certain way. And so like there's this very, very vulnerable and hard moment because again, at this point in time, when this comment is said, we know that she is like a tool of war and like not quite socially mature.
Right. Capable.
You're right. And the comment that is had whenever she like doesn't want to stay at the Evergarden Estates is like, is it because I lost I thought she said arm, but I think she says arms.
Arms, yeah.
So I didn't catch the arms bit. She's like, is it because I lost my arms? I'm no longer like in effect.
Lost my value as a tool.
And I was like,
yeah.
Oh my God. That's
what
hard.
The fuck?
That's hard.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, because at that point, it's like the first time she lashes out, or like you can tell that like I don't think that she mentally comprehends that the lieutenant colonel is beating around the bush, but we all know that, and this is the first time where she's like, just come right out and say it. Am I being downcast because I'm no longer an effective tool because I lost my arms? Because she's like, I can get better, and it's like that kind of desperate like. I can be better. Just don't get rid of me, kind of thing. And it's like, it's hard.
Rough stuff.
It's hard to hear that. But yeah, so she has lost her arms, and we up until that point we don't really get an answer as to what happened. But yeah, she ends up working in the mail room and doing her stuff, and is doing a great job and all that kind of stuff.
To an extreme extent.
Yeah, to an extreme extent. And what were the name of the dolls? We
got the auto doll.
Auto doll.
Right. We've
autonomous something doll. I thought, anyways. There's like a name of like, but like they're colloquially known as the dolls, and they're like they basically because they're like there's not a lot of people that can like read and write. What is that called? Isn't there a name for that?
Illiteracy.
Illiterate. There's a lot. The illiteracy is very.
I want to say they're broken up into two words, but I know illiterate is.
You're right. That's the word That was the word I was looking for. I think just literacy in general is like not very good. So what this service does, as like a companion to like the actual just like mail business, is like you can go to these young women that are affluent in. Reading and writing, and you can sit down and like tell them what kind of letter you want to write and share what you feel,
and they'll put that shit on print
and make it real nice and send it out. And I was like, especially in universe, I'm like, what a cool concept.
That's neat.
It's really cool. So like there is, and again, like I forgot what the actual name is called for them, but they're called dolls, And there's this moment when one of the potential customers comes in and thinks that Violet is one of them and tries to like hire commission her out to make a letter, expressing his love for somebody, and you can see the gears like working in her head, and she ends up bringing this guy to the actual dolls that can help write the letter that he wants, and she's kind of just like hanging around and like. Experiencing what he's talking about and like being able to express what love is, and then she's like, I want to do that.
Oh shit.
I want to know what love is.
Right. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, right. What does that mean when someone says they love you? And again, we get a bigger picture to the fact that like upon the lieutenant colonel's final words, as we know, saying live a long, happy life, be free. At the very end, he confesses his love for her, and you're like, oh, okay,
right.
It starts to make the pieces are coming together, and at that point, I'm almost certain. I was like, this man's dead. I'm feeling it deep down. I was like, this man's dead.
Yeah. That's his final words right there.
Yeah, that's the final words of a man that is not long for this world.
Right. Nothing left to lose.
Yeah. And she wants to be a doll so that way she can understand what someone saying I love you really means. And it's like, oh,
okay,
I get it. I get it. You don't I'm again, this character, the picture of Violet is becoming clearer of I understand now. You're still young and have no idea what love is, but you have felt feelings for somebody.
To a way more literal extent.
Oh my, you have lived a life.
Right. Not even an impression.
Yes. And I think it's at this moment we get a flashback around this time of the show where her arm falls off.
Yeah.
And it's it's a flashback, and there's a moment where she talks about I think she's opening up to the fact that she doesn't have
I'm not gonna let you die.
Yeah.
And then tries to carry him up these fucking stairs with her mouth.
Yes, with her teeth on his shirt, and it's oh man, and he's just leave me, right. Go live a happy life. Yeah. And this is the point for me where it clicked, because again I started to realize where she didn't have either one of her arms, which is why she was doing that. And I was I thought she just lost her right arm. I was oh shit, she's that's unfortunate. Damn. But that's so far up until the 4th episode right now. Right. That's all the context I have gotten for how she lost her arm. Was there's a flash cut, there's a cut to a flashback, her arm literally just falls off, falls on the ground, and she's rushing over there, no arms, bleeding out, and is we gotta get going, and I'm
yeah,
what happened? And I am scared. I'm scared for what that implies. And I know that we're probably going to get more flashbacks the more that she probably doesn't suppress these feelings or finds out a way how to
grapple with them.
Yeah, right.
With her new robo hands.
She is very effective at her job. We're spending a lot of time on episode 1 because there's so much to unpack here.
Right.
She then goes to she is effective in all the right ways at being a doll, typing, speed, vernacular, everything. But the very core of the job is hearing people's words and feelings and then appropriately writing it into a letter,
committing them to a page,
interpreting
in a meaningful way,
interpreting their feelings and putting it onto paper, I think is what they say in the show. And it's very good, because that is a skill in and of itself, is being able to interpret and empathize with people's feelings, and
then all the mumbo jumbo,
and then articulate it well.
I've done fancy mumbo jumbo.
I've done that in my career a lot. I have done and still kind of do testimonial videos for people where they will talk about something, their experiences or what their experiences with this thing or this product or whatever, and taking that and then making it appropriate. I'm not going to say it's a one-to-one thing, but it is. I think it's in the same vein as I sit across from somebody, help them feel their feelings, record it all, and then I cut it down into something that's very concise, but gets their feelings across. Right. And so hearing that, I was wow, this is such a cool concept. Especially in this world we've established. It's potentially early 1900s.
Just coming out of a war.
Low literacy rate. Yeah, coming out of a war, and it's a cool vibe.
It's cool.
It's cool, and I love it. There is that brooch that we're talking about at the beginning. Upon getting all her stuff at the beginning of episode 1, she the brooch is not there, and she kind of gets upset about it. And she gets really flustered by it, and our main man, Lieutenant Colonel guy, who's kind of again her overseer now, for lack of a better term, is watching out for her. he ends up finding it
on the black market.
Yeah, so he's like, I guess whoever found all your stuff tried to make a quick buck off of your this brooch you had. And so like at the end of the episode, like there's all this stuff that's going on, and it's so awesome. And she ends up like getting her hands back on this brooch, and it's just this lovely moment because again at the end the lieutenant colonel says, I think he's having to be honest, I think he's having whiskey on the rocks at a bar.
Dolls.
Yeah,
and
she's like, who's this major she keeps talking about?
Right. He starts going on about how even though he came from a rich family, he still had like a good spirit about him. Like he wasn't just some spoiled brat.
Yeah. He's a good dude. It seems like he's a good dude.
Right.
His brother, on the other hand, seems like a
absolute garbage.
Like a right asshole. But the more I've seen of this major character, I'm like, I don't know, man. I really like him.
Right. We don't get much,
but he seems like a pretty honest dude. Mm-hmm. And it's because again, I don't think we touched on this, but the what is the major's name? I forgot. Gilbert. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, Gilbert's brother, like gives him a gift,
right?
Which is Violet,
right?
And is like
just a human being.
Yeah, he's like, I found this on like the Western Front or whatever.
Right.
Like just
there you go.
She use her as a tool.
Right.
Don't get
only for war.
Yeah, don't
get attached.
And I'm like, excuse
the
me?
fuck?
You monster?
Okay.
What the hell are you talking about?
Have fun not being buried to the rest of us.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And so, yeah. That's a hard pill to swallow.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, that's, and even from that moment, you can tell, like, Gilbert's like, hey, man, just a little bit.
What the fuck is this?
Yeah, like, not like.
Are you serious right now?
Not like his brother in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really say much, but, like, also is not buddy with his brother in that regard of, like, yeah, ha, whatever.
Yeah.
So, anyways, you can tell there's some real emotion there. Mm-hmm. And whenever in the bar, when the lieutenant colonel's like, he's a great guy, and he says he's not going to come back around.
Right, he's never coming back.
He's never coming back. And it's like, it's the way he words it that, again, doesn't explicitly say he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
It just says, I think he says he won't come back around anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Or like that's like that kind of thing. Where it's, again, not to say that like he's not in this world anymore. Right. It's just like he won't. He like
retired to a farm upstate.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, he makes it seem like he just won't be coming to these parts anymore.
Right.
And it's like, so at the end of the episode, I'm like, I think he's dead.
Treating him like a fucking goldfish.
I think he's dead. Old Yeller done went up to the farm, yonder
to the big doghouse in the sky.
Yeah. He's much happier and not in pain anymore.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, again, I think he's dead, but I have a feeling that this show is doing something screwy. I don't know. I have no insight.
Right.
But it's just the way
remains to be seen.
It's just the way the lieutenant colonel's talking about it. That's like, but what? But why'd you say it like that? You of all people that probably has the most knowledge on things post-war right now, as opposed to us as the viewer / Violet, who doesn't really know. You keep using specific language. And I learned this from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
If they didn't die on screen, and if like someone didn't explicitly say he's dead and buried,
killed him myself.
9 times out of 10, they always showed back up.
Right.
If someone like mysteriously fell away off screen and you're like, oh, he's probably dead. I'm like, nope. Not this show. If they're gonna kill him, they're gonna stab him in the gut. You're gonna watch it.
It's gonna be visceral.
You're gonna watch when he dies. He's gonna die.
Right.
Especially if it's a main character, they're gonna make it hurt.
Right.
And I was like, so right now I'm in this like Game of Thrones mindset where I'm like, I think he's dead, but then you keep saying things like he's just not gonna come around anymore. It's like, but why'd you say it like that?
He was drunk.
Right. But even that's even more so. I'd be like, he's dead. My friend's dead.
Right.
But anyways, I think it's funny, and I like I said, I feel this way because I'm engaged. I'm engaged. I'm interested.
He's in.
I'm in. I'm locked in. Episode 1, I'm locked in, buddy. I want to know how her arms fell off. I don't understand.
Right.
I don't have any answers, and I'm interested. But the subsequent episodes, I don't know the proper terminology for this, but it's like a Monster of the Week vibe. But it's not like that. It is like a
lesson of the day.
A lesson of the day.
Right.
It is like a situation, like a hurdle to get over of the episode.
Right.
And I like that because so far it's like it feels like, again, there is like a through line of like things that happen back at the,
because of this main character's unique circumstances.
Yes.
Normal mundane things seem like a trial as far as like matters of the heart are concerned.
Right, especially because she does get into the position of being a doll because she is effective in some ways, but just not in like the most crucial way.
All the practical ways,
yes,
she's got it covered.
Right,
everything
hardworking,
right. Everything that concerns actually getting those emotions like on the piece of paper couldn't do it without it sounding like a fucking military report.
Of course. But I think that she has people around her that even though they kind of don't understand her right now, they, I think, are being a little sympathetic in a way. Right. Of like, I think they are slowly understanding like, oh, you're not like the rest of us.
Right.
In so many ways.
You're kind of weird.
You're kind of a weird one.
I don't mean to be offensive, but you're a bit of a freak.
You're a bit of a weirdo. Oh, man.
What happened to your arms?
I don't mean to be weird, but your arms are different.
I don't like the way they go clickety-clack against the typewriter.
Yeah. Why don't you feel things when I talk?
Yeah.
So anyways, the second episode is like her going to school to like be officially like signed on as a doll. There's like a whole program for this because it's not just like
training course.
It's not just a this city, this business type thing. It's like all major cities kind of have this sort of not provision. What is it called? Profession.
Yes.
Like this kind of profession around where like this is like a job title that like people can aspire to.
Right.
Because it is something
a career path.
A career path, exactly. So there is a classroom full of young women that are prepared to take this course and do their best at it. And I'm not sure, is there a reason why it's only women that do it? Or is that not really spoken about?
Yeah, I don't think they really give a reason. But who knows?
Yeah. I'm just curious about it because I don't think it's ever touched on, but it is a women dominated field. And the other dolls at the business that Violet works at talk about the fact that like, oh, she's so strict. you gotta be on your A game because like she's no nonsense.
Right.
And the character design really kind of portrays that very well. And she's very much like she's this is that teacher lady.
Full black dress.
Prim to the very much no nonsense.
Oh yeah.
But there's again, of all the matters of like skill, typing, literacy, all that stuff, like
she's got the edge.
She got it. Top of the class. But then again, when it comes to like the practical aspect of it, that's where she fails. And she's the only one that fails in the class.
Yeah.
Everyone else passes. But then there's this beautiful moment. She makes a friend in the class.
Luculia.
Oh my gosh. I made a joke to Dylan because I was like, I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for a redhead with green eyes.
A ginger.
I don't know what it is. It's probably my Irish heritage that comes out. But I saw her character and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna fall in love with her. I already know it. I don't know what it is, but I'm just like, it's so beautiful. It's like it doesn't help that she's also really nice and like befriends our main character Violet. It's like, oh gosh, you're just so sweet. How nice. But anyways, there's this kind of like this friendship that develops over the course of that episode. And we and just this, I love the subtlety in this. I must say,
he has to.
I have to say this. As a show that deals with a person that doesn't know how to pick up on the social cues of another person. And the the back and forth of that,
right?
And the constant discussion of like learning how people feel and communicating that. This show does such a great job at subtly making the characters expressive in their own way, and kind of leave like in not telling you everything, but making you as the viewer kind of pick up, or at least this is me. I'm talking from personal experience. I could be speaking out of turn for everybody. For me, making the characters do little subtle things that like I pick up on and go, oh, hey, what was that about? Like that's a bit.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. Wait a minute. And in a moment that happens like that, there's this moment where they're supposed to ask each other. It's like everyone pairs up in the class.
And you're both supposed to write a letter for each other.
Right. As if you are an actual doll and a client, like it would be in like the real world environment.
Right.
And there's this interesting moment where Violet asks who Luculia wants to write a letter for, and she goes, "Oh, I want to write for my parents." And it's just a little hesitation, a little something. But she goes from being like it was like the first thing that came to her head. She stopped herself and says, actually my parents. And again, it means nothing in the grand scheme of things. Well, I don't want to say that because I think it actually does. That's a big lie.
Just a hint.
It means nothing in this small scene, but it means everything in the big picture.
Right. Practically just met this character.
Yes. And it may be just a little something, but again, this show, for me at least, has made me realize like I need to be kind of focusing on that stuff. That is the whole goal of this other position that she's trying to work into.
Right.
Like, so I got to pick up on that kind of stuff is what it's teaching me. And of course, as we said before, Violet writes a letter to her family, and it feels
quote
like
unquote letter.
Yeah. It feels like a military report. Very matter of fact. And of course, the teacher's like,
What the hell is this?
This is not a. This is a report. This isn't a letter.
Right.
And that was like a hard thing to hear. Is like, for Violet, it's like, oh, this isn't a good letter.
Yeah,
this
could
isn't
not be considered a letter.
And it's like, oh, I thought that I was effective in everything, but like this is considered not. This is not considered a letter.
Right.
And they're like, no.
Sorry about it.
Yep. And then as this episode specifically progresses, the friendship between Luculia and Violet kind of grow a little bit, just kind of go back and forth as the class is over and everyone else graduates from the class. And I think there's a bit of like subtle frustration with Violet of like, I just don't understand, how to feel,
right,
or how to interpret people's feelings. And
that's it. That's the whole show.
Yeah. And that's the whole show. The end.
Right.
But to cut this segment short a little bit, Luculia has lost her parents. There's it was a tragic accident where they went off to like this west side,
supposedly quiet Western Front,
right?
That just so happened to break out into full-blown conflict whenever her parents made a little trip over there.
And she has never heard from them since.
Yep, found no trace.
And it's like, oh, that's hard to hear.
Yeah,
because she was young when that happened, apparently. So all she has left is her brother.
Yep.
And the first time we see her brother, he's a drunkard with
stumbling out of a bar,
crutch,
trying to get back in for more drinks.
Yeah, and it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
A
little worse for worse.
I can see how people would probably judge that book by its cover.
Right.
But I was like, hey, man, the first time we saw him, we don't know the context that their parents are dead. So I was like, at that point, I was like, maybe he's just a young crazy man or whatever.
Who knows?
The picture it gets clearer that he was in the military, and I think he injured his leg in the military, but he's alive, and he won't allow himself he won't forgive himself for not being there to like protect his family. And so he blames himself a lot for the fact that his parents are lost.
So to drown his sorrows, he resorts to alcohol,
especially now that the war is over. And I was like, ooh, what a very real thing.
Wouldn't surprise me if it's happened more than a few instances.
Oh, I was like, that is like a number one, I think, thing that's wrong. Is like men come back from, I don't say men and women come back from military, have a hard time adapting to civilian life.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of times get into alcoholism. I'm like, that whole scene,
tale as old as time.
I was like, that whole scene was played out. I was like, ooh,
it's one of these.
I was like, not that, but I was like, I could see how someone's watching this scene and is feeling very seen in that moment. Because I was like, ooh, that's hard.
Yeah.
that's real.
Mm-hmm.
That's some real shit right there. That guy's going through, and I think because
First Blood comes to mind.
Oh my God!
Right?
Yes.
Instead of alcohol, he reverts back into soldier mode.
But there's this beautiful moment where Violet and Luculia are like kind of just like sharing it starts with Luculia trying to like get more information out of Violet about like who this major character is that she keeps like hoping that like there's no reports coming back from, because again Violet still is under the impression that he's alive and is like wanting to make sure that she doesn't have any outstanding orders from her superior that apparently loves her, wink wink,
right?
And she's trying to figure out what that means. And before like that whole thing can take place, there's a conversation that happens, and of course this is where Luculia kind of like expands upon what I just finished saying about her parents, about her brother, and this whole kind of situation. And all the while this is happening, like her brother is also getting kicked out of the bar again, and like stumbles into some guys, and they just beat the shit out of him.
Right.
And it's like, oh man, oof, this is hard. And I'm not gonna lie, this is the part that got me, dude. This is the part that hurt.
Yeah.
As to kind of help empathize between Luculia and Violet, Luculia opens up a little bit more and says like, I actually don't have any, my parents, I don't know who they are, or they're dead. But I wanted to write a letter to my brother. I constantly want to try and find a way to write a letter to my brother, but I just don't know how. I can't find the words. I can't. But then she just proceeds to just like open up and say like, I just want him to know that like,
I'm happy that he's alive.
I'm happy that he's alive and that I love him.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, that's so good. Again, it's just some of the realest shit.
Yeah.
You're like, for me, that happened. I was like, damn, that's real. Right. That's real right there. And so she kind of like, Luculia kind of gets like emotionally flustered and kind of, ends up leaving. And Violet, like, you can see behind Violet's eyes, the kind of
they got steam coming out the ears.
Like,
she's really thinking about it.
I think I kind of get this.
I can do it.
I can do it. Right. And so she writes the simplest, most effective letter. And it just like says, "Dear so-and-so, I just want to say that I'm happy that you're alive.
Thank you.
Thank you." And it's like,
yeah.
And Violet hand delivers it to him laying in the street. He
beaten and bruised,
looking up at the light, looking up at the bell tower. The like again, we get flashbacks of the brother and Luculia going up there and like seeing the world when they were young and life was different.
Yeah,
and he's just like laying there in the dark, looking up at this bell tower, drunken and beaten. And of course, like Violet steps up to him, of course, and he gets his
immediately.
Yeah, he starts swinging his cane.
Swings with the crutch.
And it's like, but like she delivers this letter, and like this is the part that like made me tear up, was the fact that like he just opens it and reads this letter, and he just like
immediately breaks down.
And I was like, it's just so it's so simple. It's so simple. It's so real, and man, it's beautiful. And I was like, damn, I love this.
Yeah, it's the kind of stuff I feel like a lot of people would take for granted because most of the time you feel like it doesn't need to be said or it's a given.
Yes.
In some cases, but I mean, it's different if you're actually like saying it to their face or if you're hearing it from them.
Yes. I agree. There was a point in time after like COVID and all that I had that kind of revelation that I was like, I have a lot of friends that I haven't really like been intentional about like really appreciating them. So like, I love you, dude. Like I'm, like I care about you. I'm here for you. Especially like again, whenever everyone's all shut in and all that kind of stuff, I was like, I have a lot of friends. Like I know they know I care about them, but I was like, but in this moment right now, where everyone's all cooped up, it doesn't know what's going on, or I'm like, so I was very intentional.
To reaffirm,
I was very intentional during that season, and I need to probably go back to doing that as well a little bit. But like, I was very intentional about being like, you are loved and you are cared about, because man,
some people don't hear it enough.
You're right. And it was in that moment that meant the world to him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he straightened his life up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's like, man,
I got to get my shit together.
Because that's hard, dude.
Yeah.
Like you're drowning your own sorrows and you're being, I don't want to be mean, but you're kind of being a bit selfish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, blaming yourself for the death of your parents. Like even though there's probably nothing you really could have done that could have fixed it or whatever.
Right.
You were also serving in the war. It's like, you did your best.
Just got to get over it.
But at the same time, like you're neglecting the fact that you got someone right there. You're so caught up on
who's just happy to have you
yes,
alive.
Exactly. Because you also could have been dead in war and she could have been alone.
Yeah.
And that would have been dreadful.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that she can look at this scenario and say, like, I'm just happy that you're alive and I love you and I thank you for just being here. It's like, oh man.
Yeah.
Especially because, oh gosh, the first time we like see her come home after class, she's excited and like has things from the grocery store. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it's very, oh gosh, it breaks my heart just thinking about it.
Yeah.
She walks into the room and is like, hey, I'm home. Like I got stuff I can cook for dinner for, and like it kind of stops and he's like already drunk on
splayed out on the couch.
And then
fucking mess everywhere.
Of absolute mess. And she sets the basket down and just like sits down in the chair next to the couch and just like takes a moment. And I was like, oh,
damn.
I love that character.
That is effective.
I was like, it's because it's so real. Mm-hmm. It's so simple. And sometimes it's all it is. Sometimes the simplest things can be the most effective at conveying that. And this whole show, I can tell so far, has done a really great job with that.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure. Okay, yeah, we're still pretty good. Okay. I was going to make sure because I know I ranted for like the first 2 episodes here.
Yeah.
We need to probably not spend as much time.
Mm-hmm.
But like episode 3, one of the other dolls gets like her first kind of commission. Iris gets her first commission out of the office and gets to kind of like go travel to a destination to kind of be hired out to this thing. And it kind of is. The way it is discussed is this kind of
it's from a person she's never met, but also apparently resides in her hometown.
Yeah, and like the privilege of getting to do this, like getting commissioned and being good enough to kind of go out and do that is an honor. Is what it kind of feels like.
Yeah. A big enough deal to get excited over.
Exactly. Everyone in her office building are like, heck yeah, go ahead. Like this is a cool thing. Like it's fun. You get your first commission outside of the work office and all that kind of stuff. And come to find out, it was her mom.
Right.
Her mom trying to
get it back over for the family.
Yep. And it was all kind of in good faith, at least initially, to celebrate her birthday. Mm-hmm. But then it was also to kind of get her to
settle down.
Yes, she's like
tie the knot with somebody.
Yeah, it comes out later that like her mom really wants her to quit her job and come back to the village.
Yeah,
and
she ain't about it.
And no, she's like, nah, I ain't doing all that. That's the whole reason why I left.
Right,
I don't need all that. But then this is the episode where we get some really great rapport between the other kind of co-workers and Violet, and as things kind of go a bit haywire.
Yeah. I guess some old school family drama.
Oh yeah,
mixed in with some early like first love drama.
Yep.
Fucking recipe for disaster.
Oh man, and again, the realest shit.
Yeah.
The most like in a world that is, like I said, in a different period, that has some technology that is recognizable, and like it may be a bit fantastical, like on some minor elements. It is very grounded in these first few episodes.
Oh yeah,
of like very
down to earth,
understandable human emotions. I think each one of us maybe not have been in a situation like Laculia,
right?
But I like maybe have been with certain family members that we love, and I think aren't seeing the bigger picture, and we feel bad. Like that is, I think, something that a lot of people can resonate with.
Yeah.
This third episode is a lot like this as well, where it's like maybe not everyone has felt this way, but like people of all varieties, creeds, ethnicities, whomever. Have had family drama of some kind,
right? at one point or another.
Or has a family member, a parent or guardian or whomever that has had good intentions, but like has found
Bad
a way,
ideas.
has found a way to piss you off beyond
Right.
or make it really uncomfortable for you in some way.
Mm.
Like I said, it's like things that like
through no fault of their own or otherwise,
yeah,
it just fucking happens.
Has potential. A lot of people have had young loves that didn't reciprocate the feeling of that, and have now had to like deal with the uncomfortable
the fallout,
the uncomfortable re-meeting of that person years later. It is very real.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh man. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so good because again, it's this whole thing is paired with the most beautiful animation and some of the most whimsical and fun music.
Yeah.
That is like, it feels period appropriate. It also feels like fantasy music in a way, but it also kind of feels like interesting, like, I don't want to say Disney, but like it has that kind of like this like whimsical nature to it. Where like there is some like happy music that makes you feel a certain way. There is like this very awesome sad music that like really grounds you in a scene, and it's like so. Yeah. All these moments are also paired with these other sensory responses as well. It's like, oh, this show is so great right now. But again, through this rapport building between Iris and Violet, there is a beautiful moment where Violet's able to open up more and I think articulate better the fact that she's like, I meant in no way to like properly offend you. Like, I really do apologize. Like, it was like I
just doing my job.
I just doing my job, but also people don't tell the full truth. People sometimes lie to hide their emotions, and like I mean, hits the nail on the head of all the things that like I feel like all of us have dealt with. Right. Where like people aren't being forthcoming with information about how they're feeling. People are kind of lying to hide certain things and like all that kind of stuff. And she's like, and it confuses me, and I don't know what is a secret.
Can't make heads or tails.
Right. And so I'm just trying to do the job and be me. Right. And I am realizing that is very much hurting you, and that's not my intention. And I was like, oh, Violet, what a very beautiful way to articulate your feelings. Wow. Yeah. And then of course but then Iris has that connecting moment of like,
okay, I get you.
I think Iris has always known that, but now it's like it's clicking for her as well. She's like, she really doesn't know any better, and I'm taking it out on her. Yeah. And I need to. It's not all her fault. And let me sit down. Let's get some tea, and let me talk about how I'm actually feeling about this.
Right. Need you to write me a letter.
Yeah, an apology letter to my family, and of course, and I oh my God, Violet's like, I'm also gonna. She says, Iris wants to do it to all the attendees of the party, right? And Violet's like, well, I'm also gonna send it out to your ex-lover, and she's like, what? And she's like, and I'm also gonna send one out to your parents as well. Right. And I'm like,
okay.
Because it's like, she's
got every avenue covered.
Violet is the realest. Violet is the realest bitch. Because at that point, it's like, because that's so true. Yeah. At that moment, like, you need a friend like that to be like, I got your back.
Can't leave anybody out.
You're right. The apology letter needs to be said, but you better believe that you got some of the people. I know you don't want to send it out to, but we're gonna do it.
Right.
You got to have a person like that to really hold you accountable. And I was like, man, Violet's a real one.
Oh yeah.
And I love that. And I'm really starting to love her character more and more, because I can see that like it's little, it's incremental, but like she's growing and learning and like just being her and trying her best. I'm like, I love you. It's great. But yes, but at the end of it, of course, there's this beautiful moment too, where her family, her parents get to say goodbye to her, and then her father hands her like a bushel of irises, like flowers. And I knew they were irises from the second I saw them, and I was like, I was waiting to hear what she said about them, because I was like, the second I saw them, I was like, oh shit, come on, man, you can't. I was like, you gonna make me sad again. Your dad giving the flower because I'm almost certain they probably named their daughter after the flower. I was like, come on, that's beautiful. So then like there's this kind of moment again where you kind of pick up on these subtleties where like the parents I think are sad to see her go, but understand that this is what she wants to do in her career path.
Right.
And her parents are both like, we're happy for you.
Right.
We're sad to see you go.
We're here if you need anything.
And it's like, what a great conclusion to that. And of course, on the train, Violet asks like, was your family like?
Right. Did I do a good job?
Right. Because again, I don't think that she fully understands if she did or not.
Right.
And of course, like
Iris is like, couldn't you tell by the way they reacted? And she's like,
not really.
She's just sitting there like,
I don't know. What if I said no?
And I was like, okay, yeah, you did good.
You did a great job.
Good job.
She not only did you did good, you did a good job, but she says you wrote a really great letter. And this is the part where I'm like, I may be reading way too much into this, but this show is getting me. But I'm like, Violet has this moment where you can see on her face, she always kind of has like a blank expression. Like people always talk about the fact that she looks like an actual doll because she doesn't really have like emotive expressions. But like you can even see from her face of like shock and kind of like the fact that like I think she may have. It's just like one of the first times in recent history where she's heard like you wrote a good letter, and it was very direct, and she repeats it out loud, but back to Iris like I wrote a good letter, and of course Iris makes a joke of it and is like, why do you gotta say it like
why
that?
Are you fucking talking like that?
Right, and she's like, yes, you wrote a good letter, but it's like, but you put it in her context where it's like,
are you sure?
The one thing that she wanted to be one of these like dolls that kind of helps, like, and she's trying her hardest to understand love. Right. The one thing that she was told that really connected with her in the previous episode was like, that was not a good letter. Yeah. And that stuck with her. So much so like she repeated it a couple more times. I'm like, it wasn't a good letter. Like I can't produce a good letter, but I can do everything else good. So the fact that happened, it's like, oh man.
I have to make sure.
Okay, just let me hear you say it one more time.
Right, please.
So and that episode ends because and oh my god, dude, I'm so freaking sad. There's this moment where again, like she talks about the fact, like Violet points out the fact that they're irises, iris flowers, and she's like, "This is I was named after these flowers because I was born
when they were in full bloom."
And of course, the train goes over this like hill.
We got a whole fucking fields of them.
So it's like, okay, beautiful. Violet has this flashback to the major, Gilbert and her. And he's asking what her name is. So we're presuming it's like directly after he has now gotten charge of her from his brother in some awkward way. Yeah. And he's like trying to ask what her name is. And she's like,
just dead silent.
I apologize. I don't know. And he's like, well, is it okay how does it feel if I give you a name?
And so he's just looking around.
Yep. There's a butterfly.
There's a flower.
And there's a violet underneath a tree. And there's like beams of sun on it. It's like a beautiful, picturesque moment. Right. And I was like, okay. I was like, come on.
Right. How
man.
could you not?
How beautiful is that? That's so, how freaking sweet. Right. And then Gilbert slaps us with this line of like, your name's gonna be Violet, and I hope that you grow into that, like that beautiful name, and not into just some tool for war. And it's like,
damn,
frick me, man.
Right.
Come on. Ugh. Gilbert, I was like, I already liked Gilbert, and I was like, come on, dude. I was like, this guy's just he's an honest dude. And he's like, I don't want to deal with this, but now I got a woman here. It's
just a little girl.
Yeah, just a girl, and she's silent and kind of awkward and
weird.
and weird and weird.
Yeah.
So yeah. Episode 4 is another beautiful kind of back and forth episode. There's this princess, and of course this is Violet's like her first commission where she's out and about, and she has to go to this kingdom, and she has to be the doll to write the letter for this princess that's trying to confess her love in some way to the prince. And
these two kingdoms are exchanging love letters as part of an example to explain and show how good the marriage between the two countries would be.
Right. They're trying to have like an alliance. So there's a lot of kind of these love letters are to be published to not only like to
to be read aloud to the public.
To not only
and
like
or
kind
displayed.
So again, obviously they're very well written and they kind of feel very wordy and beautiful in their own way, but it feels fabricated.
Right.
And the princess feels that way. She's like, I had a very real moment with the prince in a garden once upon a time underneath the moonlight. And I really do care about this man. And I just feel like he's a busy person and he also has a doll on his end that is like fabricating these letters. And like, so like none of what is being written from his end is like really real.
Right.
Or it's not him at least. And she's like, I just want to know his feelings about it.
Right.
She's nervous and scared because she's like, I actually love him and I don't want him to like, I don't want to just get married and him not love me and like actually care for somebody else. And I was like, what a very adequate feeling, especially like an arranged marriage situation, especially whenever like you have feelings and maybe the other people don't. But then of course, Violet, I mean, has no...
With her cold, bleeding heart.
Yes. I mean, effective. Very effective.
Oh, yeah. She recognizes the writing style of the other doll.
Yeah.
And takes it upon herself with specifications that this isn't her own action and not representative of the company whatsoever.
She's like, I'm not technically supposed to do this, but like...
Starts rattling off the terms and conditions.
I hereby,
Right. So she takes it upon herself to go over to the other kingdom.
Yeah.
Find out who's writing these letters and convince them to let the prince pen these himself.
Handwrite his own letter to her. And it starts off great. And it's just this back and forth, this beautiful back and forth. And then the part that gets me on this episode is the fact that there's no real queen involved, like which is the princess's mother.
Right. We're left to assume that she's absent and or just gone.
Right. So we don't know. But it seems as though like the handmaid that is
Alberta.
Yeah. Oh gosh, Alberta. What a sweet lady. She's like she is the
surrogate mother.
Yes.
For all intents and purposes.
Was there when the princess was born, and of course is now kind of her acting mother for all intents and purposes. And so there's kind of this beautiful like mother-daughter relationship that kind of goes back and forth, but also still like respectful as a servant, royalty kind of thing. And so there's like, not only is it the love aspect where the princess also loves this prince and is kind of like sharing her life more, sharing her feelings, and like they're kind of having this really awesome back and forth. But then there's this second part of this, which is also like, I know that like Alberta's like, I'm to take charge of the castle, like the palace. I'm not.
If you get married and they get you over there, I'm not going to be with you.
Right. And it's like, that's hard to hear. So there's this kind of back and forth there where it's emotional as well. But that ends with a happily ever after, where she's,
thank goodness,
where she's getting she's getting married. And the other part that like really made me tear up for some reason, because I think it was just the fact that it was like so honoring and loving, was whenever like the princess like kneels down at the feet of Alberta. And it's like she has this moment where she just like puts her hand on her forehead and just like in this really beautiful moment of like just having like the princess and again like, and of course having Alberta like be a servant for like the whole series in some way.
Someone who's waited on you hand and foot.
Right.
Since you were a baby.
To have this moment where it's like, not only is she happy and married, but she's also coming with the terms that like Alberta had said, like she is happy and proud of the princess as well. It was just this beautiful like family moment, and like to have the princess like just like fully get on her knees and just like honor Alberta in a way. I was like, I don't know why. It was just a beautiful moment where I was like, oh shit, I'm about to cry.
Yeah.
It's just such a beautiful moment where I was like, damn, dude.
Yeah.
It was so lovely. And I was like, man. And of course, they're also talking about the fact that she's like, I just wish that Violet could be here for this moment because of what she did to help make this happen. And I was like, man, Violet, you still got some work to do, but man, you're doing a great job.
And speaking of, we cut to her meeting with I think her name is Catalea.
Yeah.
One of the senior dolls.
Yeah.
At the same establishment that they work.
Oh yeah. A hot mama.
Right. She basically treats this as a personal favor and says that she owes her now.
Yeah.
For going through that whole fiasco.
Yeah.
And Violet promises her a steak dinner.
Yeah. I love it.
So, yeah.
It's so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait for the rest of this show. I really can't.
Oh, boy.
I know for a fact that it's going to hurt more before it ever gets better.
Yep.
And I'm ready for it. I'm buckled up.
Yep. I hope so.
that first episode, I was locked in. I was like, shit, dude, I'm locked in.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice.
I really do hope that the people out there can get a chance to also see this show. Follow along with us.
Right.
Next week's, maybe not next week's episode, but the part 2 of this series will be episodes.
It'll be somewhere along the line.
Episodes 5 through 9. Or no, 5 through 8.
5 through 8.
Okay. I just had to be sure.
Right.
It'll be 5 through 8.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to follow along with us, that will be
feel free.
It's a great show. Maybe not for everyone, but for me, it's clicking. It's hitting all cylinders, and I'm like, man, this is a beautiful show.
Oh yeah.
Well, with that being said, if anybody wants to actually share what their feelings are on the show, or you want to try and reach out to us about anything else, we have comment sections on the YouTube channel and on Spotify. You can type in @Hindsight Studios on YouTube and find our channel there. Be sure to subscribe on all the platforms you listen to us on. Give us a like if you liked our show, and if you like this one, we would really appreciate it. And also, you could write a lovely letter to us and let it blow away in the wind. And the wind will carry the letter to us, and that will also get you the subscription feed to the podcast, of course.
Only if you're a double amputee.
Yeah, that's the caveat. That's hard. That's hard. Yeah. If you
still got both natural limbs, get to chopping.
Yeah. If you go to a tree and grab an acorn out the tree, and then just give it one kiss, and then throw it over the hedge, it will find us, and that will also give you the podcast as well. But anyways, until next week, thank you so much for listening.
See you.
Bye-bye.